Welcome back to the Deep Dive. You guys have been busy sending in tons of info about income diversification, articles, research, even a whole podcast episode. Seems like you're ready to build a rock-solid financial future, and that's awesome.
It really is a smart move, being proactive about your finances like that.
Honestly, I tried going through all the stuff you sent, and phew, it was a lot. It's like trying to drink from a fire hose, but luckily, that's why we have our incredible expert here today to help us break it all down.
Happy to help. Ready to get into it.
Absolutely. Let's dive in. The podcast episode you shared, Income Diversification, How to Build Multiple Income Streams from Margin World. It really hammered home the idea of spreading financial risk.
Right. It's like diversifying your investment portfolio, but for your income. It's all about having a safety net.
Exactly. Like they always say, don't put all your eggs in one basket, except this time it's about your income, not just investments. Like, what if you suddenly lose your job?
It happens more than you might think.
Right. And having multiple income streams can really soften the blow and give you more stability, like having a backup plan, or even better, several backup plans.
I like that.
Speaking of plans, the podcast breaks down different types of income, which I found super helpful. Earned income, portfolio income, passive income, and residual income. It's like the Avengers of income, each with its own unique superpower.
I love that analogy. You're right. Understanding each type is crucial when you're putting together your diversification plan.
Okay, let's start with the most basic one, earned income. Basically, the money you make from your job, your paycheck.
Yeah, the most common type, but it's often the most vulnerable, like we were just talking about.
Yeah, that portfolio income, that's when your money starts making money for you.
Yeah.
Things like stocks, bonds, even peer-to-peer lending.
You got it. It's about putting your money to work, earning income from your assets, not just your time. But always remember, investing comes with a certain amount of risk.
Then there's passive income, the dream, right? Income that flows in without much effort on your part. Rental properties, royalties from creative stuff, even certain online businesses.
The thing with passive income is it often takes a lot more work and investment to set up initially.
Like imagine building a rental property or putting together an online course. Takes time and resources, right?
Exactly. But the payoff is you eventually earn without actively working for it.
Okay, and finally, residual income. This is about making something once like a book, an online course, some kind of software, and then earning from it over and over again.
Exactly. You leverage your skills and knowledge to create something that keeps making you money. It's like planting a seed that keeps giving you fruit.
So we've got all these different types of income, and I think a good diversification strategy involves a mix of all of them, right? Like a balanced diet for your finances.
That's a great way to put it, a balanced diet for financial well-being.
So let's get into the how-tos. The podcast gave some great strategies for building these different income streams.
Sounds good.
Freelancing seems like a great place to start. It's super popular these days.
Definitely. Platforms like Upwork and Fiverr have made it so easy to connect with clients all over the world and offer your skills. You can freelance in almost any field now.
The flexibility is what I love about it. Setting your own hours, working from anywhere. You're your own boss. It's like designing your ideal work-life balance.
But with that freedom comes responsibility. You've got to be self-motivated, good at managing your time, really hustle to find clients and build your reputation. It's not for everyone, but if you love independence and doing different things, it can be great for making extra money and gaining valuable experience.
It's also like a launch pad, right? You could lead to your own business or a whole new career. So let's move on to something that can feel a bit scary for some people, investing. The podcast really broke it down for beginners, though.
It doesn't have to be scary. It's about starting small and being consistent. Even if you can only invest a little each month, it can make a big difference over time, especially with the power of compounding.
Compounding. Tell me more about that.
Well, let's say you invest $100 and it earns you 10% in a year. So you've got $110 now. Next year, you're earning 10% on that $110, not just the original 100. So you end up with $121 and so on. Those small gains really snowball.
So your money is basically making more money, like
Right.
a financial family tree.
Exactly.
Speaking of building wealth, let's talk about real estate. The podcast talked about rental properties. They can give you consistent cash flow and build long-term wealth.
It's true, but you have to understand the commitment involved. There's the big upfront investment, then you're the landlord. Property management, finding tenants, repairs, all the legal stuff. It's not really passive income in the true sense.
So what if someone's interested in real estate but doesn't want to be a landlord or doesn't have a lot of money to invest? can they still get involved?
Absolutely. That's where REITs come in, real estate investment trusts. You invest in real estate through the stock market, much easier than buying property directly. You're buying shares of companies that own and manage properties. You benefit from their experience and the diversification they offer.
So you're getting a piece of the pie without having to bake the whole thing yourself.
Pretty much.
Okay, I'm excited about this next one. Online businesses and digital products. Turning your knowledge and passions into income, it's amazing.
It's such a dynamic space, and the possibilities really are endless. Ebooks, courses, templates, stock photos, even printable designs. You create it once, and it keeps making money.
Platforms like Udemy and Skillshare, they've made online education so accessible. Anyone with expertise can create and sell a course. I've taken some awesome ones myself.
And it's not just education. The creator economy has exploded. YouTubers, podcasters, bloggers, influencers, they're all building audiences and making money online.
But let's be realistic. Not everyone wants to be in the spotlight. What about people who are more introverted or prefer to work behind the scenes?
Affiliate marketing might be a good fit for them. You don't need to create your own products or be the face of the brand. You partner with companies, promote their stuff to your audience, and earn a commission for every sale you make.
So if I have a blog about sustainable living and I recommend a certain brand of cleaning products, I can get paid if someone buys it through my link.
That's the idea. But it's important to promote things you actually believe in, stuff that fits with your audience. Authenticity builds trust, and that leads to long-term success.
Okay, let's step away from the digital world for a second. The podcast also talked about side hustles, turning your passions or what your community needs into a way to make money. Baking, pet sitting, tutoring, handyman work, you name it.
Side hustles are great. It's about finding what you love, what you're good at, and what people actually need.
And it doesn't have to be about making tons of money. It's a way to make extra cash, learn something new, or connect with your community. I have a friend who started baking cakes for her neighbors, and it's turned into a whole business.
See, sometimes the best things start small. You don't have to quit your job, make a big investment, or anything like that. Just share your skills.
So freelancing, investing, real estate, online businesses, affiliate marketing, side hustles. What else did the podcast mention?
Oh, a couple more things. They talked about peer-to-peer lending.
Oh, yeah.
It's a way to diversify your investments, and you could earn higher returns than a regular savings account. Basically, you're connecting borrowers with lenders online, cutting out the banks.
You're like a mini bank. But there are risks, like any investment.
Exactly.
The podcast also talked a lot about networking, right?
Yes, networking is so important, but people often overlook it. It's not about schmoozing or collecting business cards. It's about building real relationships.
It's not just what you know,
Yeah.
it's who you know, right?
It's a bit of both. You need the skills and the connections. Networking can lead to new jobs, partnerships, mentorships. You just never know.
And it's not just for your career, it's about making friends, finding mentors, connecting with people who have similar interests. I've met some of the best people through networking, both online and offline.
I agree. Just be open to new connections.
Before we move on, can you explain dividends a little more? I know the podcast mentioned them as an income stream.
Sure. A lot of companies, well-established ones, they give a portion of their profits back to their shareholders.
Okay.
So if you own stock in that company, you get these regular payments just for holding the stock. It's called a dividend.
So you get paid just for owning part of the company.
Basically, it's another way to make passive income and build long-term wealth. You can reinvest those dividends or use them as extra income.
Wow, we've covered a lot. There's so many ways to diversify your income, but I imagine it can feel overwhelming. Where do you even start?
That's a great question, and that's exactly what we'll be talking about in part 2, how to personalize your income diversification strategy and the importance of starting small. So stay tuned for more. Welcome back. So we've explored all these different income streams, all these potential strategies. Now, how do we actually make this work for you? Because, what works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. We all have different skills, different passions, different financial goals, and different levels of risk tolerance, too.
Right. It's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole if you just try to copy someone else's plan. It has to be personalized.
So how do we do that?
Yeah.
How do we personalize this whole thing? The podcast talked about assessing your goals, your risk tolerance, your resources. What does that even look like? Do I need to hire a financial advisor?
Not necessarily. Start by asking yourself some questions. Think about your financial goals. What are you trying to achieve here? Are you trying to build long-term wealth or create a safety net or just make some extra cash for something specific?
So define the why behind diversifying your income. Okay, that makes sense. What about risk tolerance? How do I figure that out?
Think about how comfortable you are with, the possibility of losing money. Are you okay with taking big risks for potentially big rewards?
Hmm.
Or do you prefer to play it safe?
So if someone's risk averse, maybe they focus on lower risk investments or side hustles that are more stable.
Exactly. Maybe building up that emergency fund first, diversifying their investments, things like that. Someone with a higher risk tolerance, they might be more comfortable with startups, investing in individual stocks, maybe even something like cryptocurrency.
Okay, that makes sense. And resources. I mean, some of this stuff, like real estate or starting an online business, it takes money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true. But resources aren't just about your finances. It's also your time, your skills, even your network. How much time can you realistically dedicate to building new income streams?
Right.
Do you have any skills you can use? A good network of people who can support you?
So it's like taking inventory, a personal inventory of your income generating superpowers.
Uh-huh. I love that. Once you have a good picture of your goals, your risk tolerance, and your resources, you can start narrowing down which income streams are a good fit.
Okay, so let's play a little game. Imagine our listener is great with people, has some free time in the evenings, but doesn't have a lot of money to invest right now. What would be a good fit for them?
Well, they could think about tutoring, pet sitting, maybe offering handyman services. Things that are always in demand don't require a big upfront investment, and they can use their people skills.
That's a good one. What about someone who's more introverted, loves to write, and has some savings to invest?
Maybe they could try creating and selling ebooks or online courses. They can use those writing skills, share their knowledge, and potentially create passive income over time and use some of their savings to get started.
Okay, we've got our social butterfly and our introverted wordsmith. But what about the rest of us who are feeling a bit overwhelmed by all these options?
It's important to remember, start small. You don't have to do everything at once. In fact, it's usually better to pick one or two income streams and focus on those.
That makes me feel better. I was starting to think I had to do all of this, like right now.
Haha, no, it's not a race. Think of it like learning a musical instrument. You don't become a virtuoso overnight. Start with the basics, practice, you'll get there.
Okay, so start small. How do we choose those first steps, though?
Think about what excites you, what you're already good at, what you enjoy doing, and what you can realistically manage with your current situation.
So not just chasing the latest trends, but finding what feels right for me.
Yeah, find that sweet spot where your passions, your skills, and your resources all come together. That's where the magic happens.
This is starting to feel less overwhelming and more like I can actually do this.
That's the spirit. Remember, this is a journey. It's about taking action, learning, and celebrating your wins along the way.
And even those small steps can add up over time, right?
Absolutely. Think of it like planting seeds. You might not see the results right away, but with time and care, those seeds can grow into something amazing.
So we've personalized our approach. We've taken those first steps. Now we're tending to our income-generating garden. What's next on this adventure?
Well, now it's all about the mindset. Because believe it or not, building multiple income streams is just as much about your mindset as it is about the strategies you use. And that's what we'll be talking about in part 3 of our deep dive.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into income diversification. You know, it's funny. We started this whole thing feeling kind of overwhelmed. But now I'm actually feeling inspired, like ready to get started. How about you?
Totally. It's amazing what a little knowledge and a shift in perspective can do.
Right. We've gone from information overload to feeling empowered to create a better financial future. It's like we decluttered our brains, and now we have space for new ideas. So as we start on this income diversification journey, are there any mindset shifts we should be aware of? The podcast mentioned it's not just about the strategies, but also the mindset.
You're absolutely right. It's about shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset, believing that there are plenty of opportunities out there and we're not limited by our current situation.
So instead of feeling like we have to fight for a piece of a limited pie, we need to believe that the pie can actually get bigger, that there's enough for everyone to succeed.
Exactly. It's about recognizing our own potential and believing we can create a more abundant future for ourselves and the people around us.
And I imagine that takes a growth mindset too, right? Being open to learning new things, adapting to challenges, constantly evolving. Because this whole thing about building multiple income streams, it's about trying new things, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. 100%. A growth mindset means seeing challenges as opportunities.
Yeah.
It's knowing that we can always learn and grow. We're not stuck where we are. If you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah, right.
Right. But here, it's not just personal growth, it's financial growth too. And that means being resilient as well, because there will be setbacks, challenges, maybe even times when you doubt yourself. It's about having the strength to keep going.
Resilience is so important. This isn't always going to be easy. You'll hit roadblocks, you might get rejected, maybe even have some setbacks that make you question everything. But it's about having the mental toughness to bounce back.
So we're not just diversifying our income, we're diversifying our mindset too. Abundance, growth, resilience, it's like a mental safety net to help us along the way.
I love that analogy. And those qualities, they won't just help you with your finances, they'll benefit you in all areas of your life. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some of the key takeaways for our listeners? What can they do today to start building a more secure and fulfilling financial future?
Yeah, we've covered a lot. Let's break it down into some actionable steps. What's the first thing our listeners should do after they finish listening to this?
Take some time to reflect. What really stood out to you from all of this? What sparked your interest? Which income streams felt like a good fit for you, your skills, your passions? There's no one right answer.
It's like finding the right outfit, something that makes you feel good, something that reflects your personality. Okay, so our listener has found a few potential income streams. Now what?
Now it's time to do a little more research. Dig deeper into those ideas, read about them, talk to people who are already doing it. The more you know, the better decisions you can make.
Knowledge is power. But too much research can be paralyzing too. How do we avoid getting stuck and actually take action?
That's where starting small comes in. You don't have to have everything figured out to get started. Just pick one thing that feels manageable that you're excited about. Create a profile on a freelancing website. Take an online course. Just start brainstorming some ideas.
I like that. Just take that first step, even if it feels tiny. It's like dipping your toes in the water before you jump in.
Exactly. And as you start taking action, you'll build momentum, you'll get more confident, and you'll learn a lot along the way.
And remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint, right? It's about making steady progress, making adjustments along the way, and celebrating those small wins.
That's it. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Find a mentor, join an online community, maybe talk to a financial advisor. There are people out there who can help you.
And remember all that stuff about mindset, abundance, growth, resilience, believe in yourself, enjoy the journey, and never stop learning. The possibilities really are endless when it comes to building a more secure and fulfilling financial future.
This has been great. Thanks for having me on.
It's been a pleasure. And to our listeners, we want to hear from you. What resonated with you the most from this deep dive? What are you going to do next? Share your thoughts with us on social media. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep striving for financial freedom.